Hello and welcome to our episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. Today I'm joined for the second time, but the first time alfresco. This is the very first alfresco version of FinTech Focus TV. We're here in New York City, as you can see behind us, and it is my great pleasure to reintroduce you all to Daniel Shepherd from BTON.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Good, thank you. It's a bit chilly outside.
It is a little bit, but we've got to be out here when we can do it, haven't we?
Yeah.
And this is something we talked about doing back in the UK, but we were both over here in New York at the same time. We thought, what better opportunity to do it? And I know you're spending a lot more time over in New York at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the company's going and what the opportunities are and all that sort of thing. So we've got lots to talk about, lots to catch up on. You were on the show. I was trying to work it out when it was probably about 2-3 years ago now. Last time out. Cool. And we've seen the company continue to evolve and morph a little bit and do all that sort of thing. So we'll get into all of that. We'll talk through the journey. We'll talk through where you're currently positioned and what you're doing, why you're over here as often at the moment, the sort of opportunities behind it. But before we do that, just give us a refresh. Tell us a little bit about the business and what you guys are doing at the moment.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're a technology tool for the trading desk, very much front office focused. It's all about optimizing trading flow. We're an AI recommendation algo. A little bit like the tools you use on your phone or on your TV to stream various things.
Yep.
So we work in a similar way, but obviously for equity trading, and it's a broker or trader assistance tool just to populate the most optimal broker routing for your order using TCA data and collaborative data.
I think that's so important, isn't it? So the way you mentioned it there, sort of like like your TV, like how you do things at home, like your phone or whatever it might be.
Yeah, people are familiar with that process now.
Yeah, it's the expectations, isn't it? I think that expectation transverses into every single part of your job. So you're not sat there with a legacy system like we've always had, saying this is how we should be doing it. It's like we want the instant gratification. We want the same things that we do at home, the same sort of access, and it's created a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, for something far less trivial than what the next song to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, something far more important, really.
Yeah.
So to use it for something like that is not. But similarly, I'm glad you said in terms of legacy systems, because we have changed a little bit since we last talked, and we are now just an API based solution, and we're plugging into people's existing framework, so their order flow doesn't have to change. They don't have to install massive amounts and uninstall various things. We're just a kind of an app on the app store of various EMSs and OMSs now, so very easily accessed. So
how's that been going? Because I think my take on that is it's what everyone's looking for at the moment. There's a lot of appetite for that sort of stuff. People are looking to build their personalised, hyper-tailored sort of solution on the trading floor, and particularly in this sort of space. And I guess that sort of works for you from a ecosystem basis. I know we used that word before coming on air, right? Yeah,
exactly. It's all about ecosystems and exactly the hyper-personalisation of everything now. This is what AI is kind of bringing. By having a wider ecosystem, various different players in the network, you're kind of bringing everything up by using a collaborative kind of work stream together.
Yeah. And so that's been taking off and gaining traction in the UK. You're over here in the US. I thought I saw a post which you did a month or so ago when you're over and hitting the floors of the stock exchange and doing all that sort of stuff. You're loving it. Your time over here. You're back again now. We were talking off air about this sort of becoming a monthly sort of play.
Probably a monthly.
And excited about the opportunity.
It's really exciting over here. It's big. It's bold. Everyone wants an edge, basically. So everyone has that competitive attitude. It really does feel like a bull market over here, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Well, it is a bull market over here.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So there's loads of things going on, loads of events to visit, and
you were keeping yourself busy yesterday, weren't you? And well fed.
Yes, exactly. Hey, don't talk about the food. I'm slim. Exactly. So two events yesterday, multiple meetings. It's just quick fire meetings all day long, really, for the time.
And talk to me about that appetite. So you're saying over here, people are looking for that edge. We spoke again before we came on about the sort of rapid evolution of technology in the space at the moment. That sort of ties into everyone. It is competitive. It is more and more difficult to gain productivity advantage in the marketplace. It is more and more difficult to get the ability to compete against your competition if people are obviously investing in the right sort of tech to move it further forward. What's the general
you don't want to
consensus?
get left behind,
yeah,
really.
Exactly, yeah.
So, it is about getting an edge because we are working in finance. It's a competitive industry. You want to do the best for your end investors and shareholders and so on. And people are definitely much more of the view now that obviously AI is changing things. Firms need to have an AI strategy in place. It's great for us because obviously we've just come into the crosshairs in terms of that solution. We're an easy off-the-shelf kind of early entry AI tool, which is a really good use case in trading. So people can kind of get that journey going for further digitization, basically.
Let's talk about that, because the AI use case, I think, is the bit which people are still struggling to get their heads around and to see that embedded. Everyone wants an AI strategy. Everyone wants to be to be able to say, yes, we use AI. AI is part of our plan. AI is part of our tech stack, etc., etc. And I think it was, we were both at the Fix conference yesterday, and AI obviously dominated again. There was a big panel on that sort of basis.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an episode where we don't talk about AI over the last year or so on this, for obvious reasons, right? But again, it's like, where is the use cases that are really there and make a difference in the whole thing? And I get it, the fact that it's, over the last year, it's been a process, and it's been, you don't flip the switch and everything's, with that by its very nature,
don't do it just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
is exactly the answer.
But tell us about how you're actually bringing it to life and what it actually looks like and means to you.
Yeah, so I guess we're an entry-level version of AI. We're not generative AI. We're a neural network in terms of our data stream coming into our system and machine learning to select the most optimal broker. But it has come up a lot because there was a McKinsey report that came out fairly recently, which had a list of firms which are using it. I think firms don't want to, in 5-10 years' time, look back and be asked, what did you do when the AI revolution was happening?
Not a lot.
Everything was changing.
And waited.
Standing on the sidelines is not going to be the best answer, because perhaps they won't be asking me at all. I think firms want to have something on the board. But it's plenty to come, but models are changing. It's all about the data, basically. So as long as you have the underlying data, the models may come and go, but that data is underlying everything, so it's incredibly important.
And you used the word collaborative data earlier on when we were talking. Tell us a little bit about what that means, because data is obviously at the centre of this AI movement at the moment.
Yes, exactly. And firms on their own may not always have the most statistically relevant data around trading. They'll obviously have all their own personal data. But for optimizing order routing, you kind of want a bigger data set as possible. So by having a collaborative data set where the data sits in the middle, no one else can see what anyone else is doing, but everyone can benefit from that collective intelligence, then that's obviously more statistically relevant and better for the end user.
Yeah. And
and I think people are more comfortable with it now, again, because going back to these tools that you have on your phone in your hand all day long, as long as it's very secure, there's no information leakage, you can benefit from that collective intelligence.
That in this space, and I was talking about it actually when I was talking to the people on the digital assets panel, but I think both AI and digital assets have I guess, barrier to entry, which is about trust.
Yeah.
And I think when you're talking to people about AI, there's an excitement and there's an anticipation and there's a desire to want to be not left behind in the whole process. So it's cool, it's trendy, it's people want to get involved in it, and they also recognise the streamlining, cost savings, productivity gains, everything around it. But they're also sat there a little bit, particularly the skeptics amongst them and the technophobes to an extent. The difficulty is, how do you get trust? And the word that keeps on coming up, and I say it all the time on this show, is when you've got data or when you've got decisions that are becoming driven by AI that are approximately right, that seems to be the sort of blocker that people won't fully move over the thing yet. And I guess that comes through from an evolution of AI at the same sort of stage to keep on building. Is that someone said to me the other day that it is the worst it'll ever be at the moment, and that'll be the same tomorrow, and that'll be the same the next day. It'll keep on getting better and better and better as it goes through by nature. What it's all about. So how are you when you're there and you're over here and you've got this appetite and this bull market and people being really positive around it, there's this this will be out towards the very end of 2024, going into 2025. We've had probably 18 months of people making tech investment decisions that have been truncated, elongated, difficult. You know, people are spending, but they're spending very, very cautiously and slowly at the same sort of stage. So buying circles or cycles have got that much longer and more frustrating for everyone to predict and go through it all. With this, and with a company like yours, I get the impression that it can be something there where it sort of, you know, grows and, you know, you buy and then grow into it and it goes from there.
Yeah, and it's kind of in easy access, and we're just really an assistance tool. So it's not like your systems can go wild with an AI thing. We just populate a column where you can, it's a recommendation basically, an AI recommendation algo suggestion, and the trader obviously has to make the end decision, but it's a way of, from the UK and Europe, keeping up with the regulatory expectation of best execution, and from the perspective over here, just getting an edge against the competition. So we're not really getting that much pushback in terms of that whole AI fear. Because I think people have really come to
embraced it.
They are embracing it. So it's stuff going on.
It was interesting talking to the panelists yesterday on that AI thing, where they were saying last year they had the same panel and it was all very fresh and very exciting. They said a year on it was like, have we moved as far as we thought we would have done over the last 12 months with it? And I think they said that predominantly because they were in the thick of it. And then actually when you start to talk to them about what they've done and what they've achieved over that sort of thing, it's in any other time it's spectacular advances. Right now it feels like, we want it to be 15 miles ahead of it, or straight away within it.
Well, that's everything. If you're running your own business, that's how it is. Your time frames are always slightly different. I want it now, and other people's time frames aren't always so fast.
Let's touch on that, because I think it's your journey is an interesting one. I think we were talking yesterday, and if I'm not wrong in saying you sort of took 2 people on just before COVID, etc.
Yes, exactly. Just before the lockdown started, I think it was 4 days or something. So we're always going to remain small anyway, because it's technology business. So it's a way of keeping our overheads low, and the customers more happy. So it's just very scalable technology. We're still a small team. We've got Emmett Corley on the team, who's a former CERN physicist, so head of data science. We've got Adam Mingos on the team as well. He used to be head of electronic trading at FMR for 10 years in Europe. Those are kind of the three core staff members. Plus then we've got Chris, who I used to work with on my previous FinTech called Alfresco, which is ultra latency. Very gifted technologist. And there's a couple of others, but that's
dream team.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. It's good.
And so you talked about the rapid evolution of tech. You've talked about the sort of evolution of your business over the course of the last couple of years since last we spoke. Tell us what's driving that, and how you as a small, nimble team, you continue to sort of evolve. I've said this again on the show a few times, that pivoting, I think, was a dirty word back in 2019.
Right,
If you're a tech company, you pivoted, you've got the wrong sort of plan. It was almost like an ego play and a front to say where you're at.
Perspective, doesn't it?
But I think pivoting has changed now to a business there where it's about, you have to be, with this rapid evolution of technology, you've had to be a business there that morphs in that sort of time. And it feels like your go-to-market has changed and adapted and
alongside the developments in technology.
Exactly,
really. They just weren't there when we first started. So the initial idea was, finding an assistance for a cost problem in the asset management world. Obviously, there's a pressure on margins, costs are higher, revenues are lower. Passive investing is kind of ever popular, so firms need an edge, and it's kind of transformed into, because of the technology advances, and luckily enough, I work with some super smart people. Not me, but at least I can hang out with them. It's fun. And obviously people like Adam, who have sort of faced the day-to-day problems every day for a lot of years. And Emmett, who's obviously very gifted in terms of data and science. And we've just managed to kind of go with the utmost latest technology, and also people's having more comfort with their with using AI. So it's been a really great journey, actually.
Absolutely.
Character building, I suppose we can say, at certain points.
Let's talk about that character building journey, because it's an interesting part of it, right? You're there. You've mentioned before about having had previous businesses in this sort of space. I know some of the companies you work with historically. You've been right in the thick of the sort of whole, I guess, capital markets, fintech, and play. And within that, there's to build it and continue it and to develop it and to be in the position when you're in at the moment. Not everyone does that sort of play. So if you look back at it from previous lives into this one now, and you're thinking, what's the highs, the lows, the journey itself. What can you pick out as some of the things that you'd say to someone who is going back and starting off now?
Can I use an Elon Musk quote? Please do. Because someone sent it to me this week, and it's far more poetic than I could have say. Running a startup is like chewing on glass while staring into the abyss of death on a daily basis.
Startup guys.
Stay away. No, I mentioned that to someone yesterday. He started laughing. He said, "Yeah, maybe." I mean, it's a journey, and it's most definitely character building and challenging. But if you feel like you're trying to do the right thing, trying to build up, kind of help technology sort of raise the bar in finance. Ultimately, we all want the end investor to get the best results. They are saving for their pension or their savings. It's important that we get it right and do as best we can for them. And by using the latest technology and collaborating together as a industry as a whole, we can benefit them. It feels good if you can do that.
I think that sort of collaboration piece is incredibly important. Like you said before, you said yesterday that you're out at events yesterday, events last night. I know you're here and you're meeting lots of different people as well.
Yeah.
This industry has developed incredibly further from when I first started in it 20 odd years ago, 25 years ago. 25 years ago, it's like we are insular. It's us, this is our product, we don't want to deal with anyone else, etc., etc. And now, I guess, for similar reasons that we talked about your phone or your Netflix or however you want to do, you want to collaborate and you want to have the easy access to things. And when people are there and saying, right, we can fit this into here and partner with this.
Yeah,
and I know you're well thought of in the industry. I know there's lots of people who you're networked with and work alongside, etc. And you partner with. There's been numerous different examples.
Yeah.
You've got your partnering announcements over.
It's about that collaborative data set in our thing, but also collaboration with the industry.
How does it make it easier?
People used to sharpen their elbows, as you said, to not work together. But that is definitely changing. Yeah, exactly. People want to work together. They're happy to work together. This is not our necessary thing, but we can offer this to our clients by working together. We're working with some other interesting fintechs as well, in terms of AI or new startups. That's kind of watch this space kind of situation. Yeah. But by working together with the smaller ones and obviously the existing ones who are keeping up to speed as well.
How do you work out who to partner with? Because that's a big decision for you. Right? You're taking on clients. Those clients are there. You bring someone else into the parties. You say, look, it's a watching brief with some of the newer businesses, and you can look at it and say, right, that's the right tech. But I imagine it's your reputation you're staking when you go into a business with a partnership, and that's
and it's trying to have a vision, I suppose, rather than just be kind of passive and say this has to be customer-led. You have to kind of have some kind of vision where things are going, I think. So you do have that, and also in terms of us, it's about allocating resource. Whereas, like we've just been saying, we're a limited team. I can't go down a path of building something which I don't necessarily have any expertise in a different asset class or something. But by working with some of these firms, and also, as you say, you kind of know quite a lot of people in the industry now. You know who are the ones to watch. And if you can at all work with them, that's great. So there's lots of firms out there.
There's definitely there's lots of good businesses and lots of good people lots of good people in this space is the other side of it as well.
And also for us as well, if we're partnering with larger firms, it's great for us because it's a route to market with their existing customers. They're keeping theirs happy, and we get a frictionless entry point for them.
Well, that's an important part of it. When I think of startups in the capital market space and smaller companies in the capital market space, so often they just get strangled out by procurement processes. I have this conversation all the time on this.
Yeah, it's almost like due diligence process where we take a year and a half to onboard you, and you're still.
And you understand why, right? Vendor risk. It's a regulated business. These aren't decisions that can be made. For the sake of it, it might be great technology, and I've seen people. I remember 10 years ago we held an event, and there was a fairly high-profile head of electronic trading from a fairly major bank, or a tier one bank.
Yeah.
And he did me a favour and came onto the thing, and it was like this pitchfork mob who was stood there of disgruntled startups within the fintech space,
Right, okay.
talking about how difficult it was. And he was there, and he was sort of like, he understood it. He understood the frustration of everyone. But he said, look, whichever way you look at it, you're not going to change the world of it.
No, and it's difficult. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
that's just how it is. But you have to work ways around it, which
Have
is why we're
multiple stakeholders,
and why we're exactly, and why we're the plug-in on existing technology, because then there is no counterparty risk because they're already using their current EMS as a big company, and we're just an app on that, and it's therefore there isn't so much risk.
That's been the game changer for me. Able to go in there and work and collaborate and put these things in play, and I think the ultimate winner on that is always going to be the end user, because you're looking at something there where, for so many years you're sat there as a trader, and it's like, this is the system that you've got to get used to. Then you had this period there where they were used to it, and they didn't want to get new technology on board, because it was like, I've always done it like this. And now I think you've got this new generation of people who are looking for that edge, who are chasing alpha, trying to get to the best possible situation of how can they get their trading advantage, their best possible route to market. And those sort of ultra personalised plays, which gets the best out of that individual and gives them the advantage to do things better in a more and more competitive world. That's a huge opportunity, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about adapting to change, modifying, getting the economies of scale, but rather than economies of scale by just merging with other companies, you can do it from a data perspective, and that's how you can use. That's what you can use to get your economies of scale. It's a big change, and also the technology is getting better, so it's much easier to use. There's no 6 months training process or anything like that. It really is just a button on our existing screen. In our case, so it's very straightforward to use. So that's also makes it.
And people have been loving that and buying.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
And now it's Operation Take US.
Now it's US, exactly. So I'm over here. Yes, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. The energy is quite different over here. There's always something going on. There's constantly events going to do.
Talk to me about the sort of sales cycle of things over here. So in the UK, you obviously know what we're doing. Are you finding it different in terms of how people buy, how people react?
It seems faster, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. It seems more quick. People are seemingly more prone to make a decision quickly. It's that thing, we want to be the first. Let's get an edge.
And quite often over here, there's a conception that people don't like saying no particularly, so they like to sell, they like to be sold to, and then sometimes they'll just sort of disappear on that. You're seeing a completely different sort of view that they're
Yeah. Although maybe a couple of the leads that I've met yesterday suddenly might disappear because I was quite optimistic about that.
It sounds like you're in the right sort of spot. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, the energy here is great, and the positive feedback is sensational, I've got to say.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm even, potentially even toying with the idea of moving here at some point. Right. Although I've got some children.
You've got some children, quite a few of them.
I've got 4 children, exactly, so they're obviously the main priority, and I can't suddenly move overseas, but certainly coming in more frequently.
There's more and more people. As I said, I had I interviewed someone here for the show a couple of days ago. He's been doing a lot of time, 150 days a year over here, and now moved into another sort of phase with it, and splitting his time between the two, because of that, exactly what you were saying, the scale, size of opportunity,
I mean,
there's team back at base.
Something like 3,000 asset managers in Manhattan alone, or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
and obviously you've got the other regions, you've got Boston, Florida, Texas now, Midwest. I mean, there's loads.
What's not to love?
Yeah, there's lots going on.
So tell me a little bit more about the plan, the business, where you're heading. We know that how you set up. It's not going to be one of those stories which sort of becomes a 5,000 person organisation over.
No, I don't think so. No, exactly.
But where does it go for you? What are you hoping to achieve? What's the aspiration?
We're really working on the partnerships here. Yeah. There's firms here that are only over here. There's a slightly different market structure over here as well in terms of how the brokers, banks, and buy side work. Slightly different in terms of that, and there's kind of a lot of sort of agency brokers here who we are realising that we're just a brilliant fit for. Because ultimately they have a trading desk, they need to select the best execution algos for their end users as well. So that's a great use case. So working on partnerships with firms like that, and partnerships with the technology firms, of whom there's quite a lot as well. So that's kind of that's our route to market so far. And those partnerships, I mean, obviously when you're there and there's people and you've sort of been growing up with in the UK, over here it's sort of like building up that sort of trust again. Exactly. So that's why I'm coming more frequently. I'm not that person that is remote in another part of the world who we never see or hear from. Actually, no. is in my office a little bit too much these days. That's kind of, it's just about that familiarity, knowing that they're your person of trust, and building up those relationships. So that's kind of why we're coming over.
Fantastic. And in terms of how you see it developing in the US, obviously you mentioned there that Toby moving over. There's the euphoria of having a good couple of days out here, and the practicalities
exactly.
of moving 4 kids over the same sort of stage. What does that look like? Do you build out a client base over here, and then start to think, right, do we bring someone on to take that on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with someone over here who's been excellent, actually. So we've got one person here on the ground who's kind of working with us a little bit, and who's been really good, actually. And then,
how did that come about? Because again, that's a big trust play, isn't it? When you've got someone there to do that, is it network and partnership?
I think that he read an article that we did around AI in trading, and we ended up kind of getting together from that. And then he was talking about his thesis about the US market, because actually it's quite an interesting one in that in the US they're way more open to startups, new technology.
Yeah.
Again, going back to this getting the edge thing. In Europe, they can be less open to new ideas and want to be kind of part of the pack to some degree.
Yeah.
But the startups you get coming out of UK and Europe are kind of seasoned professionals. I mean, I'm an old person compared to some of the startups. So, like going back to the team we've got, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of experience. We've got years worth of experience between us in the capital markets, in finance, in technology.
Yeah.
We're solving a problem that we know exists because we've had to kind of work around it over the years.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, a lot of the startups, because they're more aggressive, it's easier to get funding. They're often started by a much younger crowd who maybe aren't that experienced in the problems they're solving, but are kind of up and coming. So for UK and European firms to come over here, it's kind of squaring the circle, if you will, because it's easier to get funding here. People are more open to using new solutions, but some of the people that are solving these problems are a little bit too inexperienced, whereas we've got the seasoned pros. So it's a perfect marriage between, the old relationship, what's it called? Between the UK and the US.
Yeah, the special relationship.
Special relationship, sorry. Yeah. So it's a perfect way to square the circle between the two economies, really.
And I'm right in thinking, or am I right in thinking, from memory, you're a bootstrap business, right? Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we need really want to maintain that neutrality. It's all about having that third-party neutral perspective where we've got a nice business model. We're not owned by anyone who may have skin in the game. Yeah. So we have to have that complete neutrality. Yeah. We've kind of self-funded, which is again challenging. Yeah. But also had some investment in from some people that. Well, it's more like friends and family and angels, exactly. Yeah. So one of the investors is Paul Birch, who was co-founder of Bebo.com, an early social media platform, which AOL.com bought. Yeah. And we've got people that work in finance who get the idea straight away because it makes total sense. So we haven't got any VC money or anything like that. Yeah. So we kind of grow organically.
As you say, gives you the opportunity to do the right sort of things and be authentic to what you're trying to do as a driven
exactly.
by. And I think
exactly. A business model which doesn't necessarily correspond with the end user.
We said something quite interesting earlier on, where you were talking about being client-led and listening to your client, but also having a strategy which you come into. And I think there's a fine line between the two, isn't there? Yeah. So there's lots of companies there who will sort of build the engine based on the feedback they're getting all the time from their customers, and they end up building this thing which is probably quite heavily weighted from where they're looking at. And I think it's really important, obviously, to listen to your customers and to take that sort of advice and to bend it and have something there which you're able to to personalise to the actual needs of what's happening, rather than some companies who sit there saying, look, this is what it is, we're the clever ones, this is what you're going to have, this is how it's going to fit, this is why you need to have it.
Yeah.
And I think that usually come. Well, I think it usually happens, in my opinion.
Really.
Yeah, it usually happens when you've got someone there who's a hyper technical founder, and so they are. They might not come from the business area. They might be very, very intelligent technically, but they end up pushing their agenda on people, and it's not having that sort of ability to understand the business perspective, and they get very frustrated about the whole process.
Yeah, and I suppose you meet so many of them. But there's a kind of it's a certain type of character that has that technology ability.
And the flip side of it is then someone who's completely led by the customer and ends up just constantly chasing the
you can't really build a small company like that. You can be hyper personalised in terms of the solution and the data and the person, but to some degree, the business has to be kind of cookie cutter in order to have that kind of scalability.
Yeah.
It's all about scalability.
Yeah.
And that's how you can do it as a small company.
And then I think that's, as I say, when you've got something which is the best of both worlds, where the benefit you guys have got is you've lived it, you've worked it, you've got lots of experience, as you say before. It's not a bunch of teenagers in a bedroom, in a shed somewhere trying to put something up. This is something
exactly.
here where we're trying to build something and develop something based off industry knowledge, but also there and having the ability to say let's involve our customers in the roadmap.
Yeah, exactly.
But that strategy, I think it's really well put and really important to sort of suggest that actually this is about having a plan which you're there with and being adaptable to it. You guys, I think, are smart in the fact that you've adopted that sort of, or moulded that sort of proposition as time and technology have taken that to provide something that keeps on getting better. And I think in this sort of industry, your product has to continuously get better, otherwise it gets left behind.
Yeah.
Which is why so many of those enterprise businesses, those legacy businesses, are being called enterprise and legacy now in the first.
Yeah. I guess the term legacy is a bit harsh, isn't it?
It is. It's like I guess beforehand it was one of those sort of things that was a badge of honour to have a legacy piece, and it can get sticky and it can get difficult to remove, and there's a place for all of that sort of large tech, obviously.
But that large tech is being more flexible now. I think they are more open.
That's what they've had
firms
to do
are saying that. Yeah, exactly. They are.
It was us versus them.
Yeah.
And in the same sort of way as was FinTech ever going to eat the banks? The banks adopted and invested and bought in incubators and created all that sort of stuff to create different channels. It's the same way that enterprise businesses are recognising, actually, look, we can embrace that and build ecosystem and build collaboration is a word that I think.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds, because the big tier one firms can't always be that nimble. The cost of building things in house can be high. By plugging in with kind of a smaller, more tech savvy a firm that can move quickly, it's just the way to go. It's the best of both worlds. And in terms of, from your perspective, I suppose, in terms of recruitment and having the right team, it's sometimes easier for the smaller companies like ourselves to hire people because they want to turn up and be in a relaxed atmosphere. They want to work with other quants or other sort of similar type of characters. Yeah, turning up and having to wear a suit and attend quorums and be very much more official doesn't always suit the character of the kind of high tech.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing, that there's a right company for the right person.
Yeah.
And I think there's still people there who want to go and have the prestige of working for a tier one bank. There's people who want to have the prestige of working for a Millennium or a Citadel or anything like that. Yeah. But there's a lot of people there who are saying, look, I want to do this, and particularly as it sort of evolves and time gets through, I want to be involved in, and we're just doing the top 1% workplace awards in our magazine, and a big theme of what's coming through from that is people want to be involved and people want to have an input into that business, and I think the bigger you move into those organisations and that you become more mechanical, and it's a transactional master-servant relationship between employer and employee. And what I think a lot of people in this tech space are looking for are opportunities for them to come in there and make a difference and build something and do something cool and have a legacy themselves in its more positive phrase, to say I was part of that and we changed the industry. Yeah, exactly. I think when you're talking about something as exciting right now as AI data, whichever way you want to badge it, if you want to merge the two, whichever way it sits, there's some pretty cool things that are going on in that sort of space to make it a very exciting future. So, look, I can be talking about this for a long time. I know you've got the rest of New York to go and conquer as well. Let's finish up by talking. Who should be getting in touch with you? Who you're excited about talking to? From in New York, in Europe. Who are the right sort of people to be getting in touch with you now? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, so the customer base that we can be attractive to is wide. It can be sell side, buy side, traditional asset manager, anyone that has a trading operation that trades equities and US ETFs. We cover global equity markets, but we are very much equity kind of house focused. So anyone that has a trading desk, has execution algos, has more than one broker, which everyone should have anyway, comes to one. They can all benefit from our solution, I think. And BTON.ai is our website. We've kind of updated it and rebranded it, so have a look at that.
BTON, as we were talking about.
BTON.ai, exactly. Yes, my search engine optimized name.
I love the origin story of names. We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? And it's I was talking because I'd always had it in my head as BTON for some reason, and now BTON makes a lot more sense when I say it out loud. So,
yeah, there we go.
But yeah, the optimizations, everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, it's been wonderful having you on the show again in person this time. I think we did it on Zoom last time out, didn't we?
Glory of the sunny.
In the glory of the nearly sunny. It's all tucked up behind that building at the moment, isn't it? So it should be flooding through later on. But I've loved it. It's been great seeing you out here. I'm sure we'll be doing it lots more again in the future as well. But thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.